ready? Okay. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order for July, geez. It's been a long couple of days. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the August school board meeting. Appreciate everybody coming out today and being a part of this. I'm going to start things off. We're going to do a Pledge of Allegiance first, so if everybody would stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, Dr. Cleveland, are there any changes, updates that we need to make to the agenda?
Yes, sir. Two late things. My error, I left off recognizing Mr. Brett Unger and Mr. Aaron Tennant. We've added them to the agenda.
Okay.
That'll be in section D. And I'd like to request to add a G, which is to discuss the advisory board of the Arkansas Center for School Safety and Criminal Justice. I have some information from the governor for you on that.
Okay.
Is that okay to do?
Yeah, that should be fine. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as adjusted.
Second.
Oh, wait, who was that? Who's it? You? Okay. So we have a motion by Mrs. Creek, a second by Mr. Bell to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, was there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wanted to pull out and talk about or had any questions about? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ramos and a second by Mrs. Cook to accept the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, this time I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Cleveland. We got several folks to recognize, lots of cool stuff going on in the district. So take it away, Doc.
Thank you. Well, as you know, school's starting pretty quickly, but we've already had some really good news. I got to attend the Arkansas Teacher of the Year finalist ceremony at the governor's office. I don't see Miss Stephanie Long in here. She's in the back standing. We got to visit with she and her family, and I tell you what, how lovely she is, and her family is just the same. But I'd like to introduce you to a finalist for the Arkansas Teacher of the Year.
Thank you for letting me come tonight and speak to you. This has been a very exciting and a little bit overwhelming experience, a very humbling experience as well. So on Thursday, I attended the event at the Governor's Mansion and was very blessed to sit in a room full of lots of very educated people around the state. And so it's just been a wonderful experience so far. The process continues. Apparently my journey is continuing as well. So we have a series of interviews coming up. We have some observations that will be happening. And then this fall, the decision will be announced, and the 2023 Arkansas Teacher of the Year will be announced. So keep your fingers crossed for me.
Good luck.
Do you guys have any questions for me about the process or the event or anything I can answer for you?
Thankfully, we're used to this kind of excellence.
Well, I am blessed to be surrounded by this kind of excellence as well.
Yeah, it's great to have you join the ranks of
Thank
of
you.
the ones that have been in the same place that you're in now, right now. So, good luck.
Thank
We
you.
hope everything goes well for you.
Thank
and
you.
Keep us informed.
I appreciate that. Thank you for
You
your
bet.
support.
Congratulations. Next, Ms. Trutchison, I'd like to recognize some wonderful people from SHS, and I will not steal their thunder whatsoever. We have Mr. Jason Jones in the house.
I saw him earlier. There he is.
We also have Ms. Shannon Green, our IB coordinator.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Cleveland, just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to share about the IB program at Springdale High School. We got a great team here to represent this evening, so I'm going to introduce Ms. Shannon Green. She's our IB coordinator.
Hi, so this is a new task for me, IB coordinator, so I still have a lot to learn. And big shoes to fill with Miss Turley being the one that was there forever. So these kids are just amazing, and the IB program is hard work. Frustration, tears, they fought through it all. And so I am glad that they get a moment to be recognized. So I told them I just want them to come up and introduce themselves and tell what their future plans are, so they can have a moment of glory.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, so if you could go, oh, first of all, this is big news. So our percentage of diploma candidates this year was 86%. So that's our highest score ever. So we hope to keep that going. And so I'm going to have them come up in order and introduce themselves.
My name is Chapel Capelli, and I plan on studying economics and political science at the University of Arkansas, where thanks to the IB program, I've earned 44 transfer credits, and I plan to take these degrees to law school. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen Delgado Garcia. I'm going to University of Washington University in St. Louis. I'm going to be studying architecture. I plan on minoring in communication, psychology, anything that's of any interest. Like Chapel, my peer, my plan is to go to law school as well. Not sure where yet, but I'm very excited. Definitely IB prepared me along with all my peers, so I don't doubt that I'm gonna struggle as much as others maybe, but I know that I can definitely overcome any challenges because IB, like Ms. Green said, is a hard program. So I'm very proud of us, and yeah, wish us good luck. Thank you.
Ms. Downing, do you want to come up and say what your daughter's doing since she's sick?
Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry. My daughter is Madeline Downing. I'm Anique Downing, but I am also the IB counselor, so I love these children. They have a special place in my heart. But my daughter, Madeline, will be going to the University of California at Davis, and she too she has earned 30 college units toward her degree for scoring well on the IB exam. So she will be studying film in California.
My name is Annie Downham. I will be attending Texas Christian University, majoring in biochemistry on the pre-health track. I also plan on minoring in Spanish, partly due to the experience that IB has given me. And I also plan to be on the TCU women's rifle team.
Hi, my name is Sabayakle Ketwan. I'll be attending the University of Arkansas, and I plan to major in the business field, but I'm not sure what the focus is yet. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Henry Wilson. I am going to study mechanical engineering at the University of Missouri S&T in Rolla, Missouri. I might do Spanish minor, I don't really know. I have a lot of credits, so I might as well use them, right? And he couldn't be here today, but there's another Wilson up there. He's my twin brother, Noah Wilson. He's at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, about to graduate from plebe summer. And he will be doing some STEM field. He doesn't even know. So, yeah, thank you for inviting us here.
Hello, my name is Maria Arduna, and I will be going to the University of Arkansas. And I will be majoring in biomedical engineering. And yeah, that's it.
Hi, my name is Rowan Padilla, and I'll be attending the University of Arkansas this fall, and I'll be majoring in international business with the hope of minoring in psychology as well. Thank you very much.
I have to ask, what are you doing with your life right now, Roman?
Oh, at the moment, I am in the accounting department working DSD at HAR-BER.
You know, I just have to give a tip. If anybody needs an intern at your job, at your business, these kids are rock stars.
Just email me. So thank you guys for recognizing them because they've worked so hard over the last 3 years, definitely, but even before that. So I'm really proud of them.
A very tough COVID ID.
Yeah,
These kids.
they made it through COVID.
Love Christmas.
Oh, and also we had 4 students that scored a 7, so that's the highest you can score on one of the exams. So Chapel, Karen, and Roman all scored a 7 in Spanish. And then Valeria scored a 7 also, but she's just taking it as like an AP class. She's not a diploma candidate, but she still got a 7.
And Annie Downham as well with biology.
No, that was last year.
But it was definitely a 7. I just wanted to
Yes, Annie had 7s last year.
We're gonna keep you on your toes.
I'm telling you.
Kids know.
Congratulations to all of you. That's awesome.
Thanks for being here. Okay, I know I saw Miss Peters, and I also saw Miss Creek.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation to recognize our students. You guys come on front. Come in front. Okay, these, here, go in front. In front. There you go. Spread out. Show your pretty smiles. There you go. Okay, so Springdale, as you know, has participated in Odyssey of the Mind program for over 25 years at least, I know of. And these kiddos from Bernice Young Elementary were on 2 separate teams representing Springdale, and they got to go to the Odyssey of the Mind World Finals at the Iowa State University at the end of May. We had one group that is made up of all 5th graders, so those kiddos, raise your hands. Okay, in this group, their problem was called Name Here, the musical production, and they had to choose a person from history that wasn't well known. And who did you guys choose? Tell them. Edwin Booth, and he's a lesser known historic figure, and he happens to be the brother of? So we had a whole year of a history lesson with this team, and so they got to make all of their props, and some of their props had to transform into and be used in different ways, and their team was the only team that every single prop, every single background was transformed and used in a different way. The only team that I saw. They also were the only team that had original music that they wrote themselves. So we're super proud of this group. They came in 11th at World Finals, so we're super excited. And we were also excited because this is the first time in 3 years that we've gotten to go in person to World Finals. So they even worked through the COVID, all of it. So each different year working their patooties off and learning along the way. So I'm super proud of them. Over here we have Alice Thompson, Sydney Shelton, Addison Mann, Grace Shakanaka, Allie Peters, and then Luke Shelton was on the team, and also Adeline Crowder, who couldn't be here. The second team, we had a mix of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, so raise your hand if you were on that team. Awesome. And if you notice, Allie and Sydney were also on that team, so they did double duty at World Finals. Their problem was called Escape Vroom, and so they had to build vehicles that completed tasks, and I guess they revealed hidden clues, so they had to escape a room. So every Odyssey of the Mind problem, you have to write a script, you have to have costumes that you make yourselves, and no adult help, even with jigsaws and hot glue guns. It's really scary, but they do it. And so this group, this was Emma Baldwin and Haven Eisenbart, and Peter Jackson was unable to be with us this evening, and then of course Allie and Sydney, and we are just super proud of these kiddos. They work from September and all the way until May, making improvements from regionals to state to world finals, so they make us all very proud, and who's going to keep doing it next year? They love it. So thank you very much, and we're going to hand it over to Ms. Greep with her group from SOI.
And we are from Don Tyson School of Innovation, and our team was a mostly sixth grade team, and then one seventh grader. And we also did Escape Vroom. That was problem 1. And so we were in Division 2. They were in Division 1, the primary. And their escape room was a 1980s Donkey Kong theme, and they're the ones right there in the corner. And they had a really great script. And so they had to also design everything themselves, their whole skit and all of their costumes and everything. They won second place at state and then went on into world finals, and we had a really great time, and they just learned a whole lot. On the my far right is Lila Johnson and Isabella Soliday, Katie Fryer, Paige Davis, and James Spears, and then we're missing Jordan Cook and AJ Terrell. They were also on the team. So thank you for having us, and they did a really great job. It's a wonderful program for creativity and learning leadership and teamwork and all of those good things.
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you the coach of the Problem 1 Escape Room team for Barney Young Elementary was Donna Garlington, and she actually came from out of district to work with those kiddos. So give her a special thanks. She was unable to be here this evening. And if you have time, at some point you need to check out their pen collections, because they got to trade pens with students from all over the United States. And unfortunately with COVID, we only had 3 international teams. We had Sweden, South Korea, and Poland.
Yes.
So they sent teams. Usually there's about 25 different countries that join us, but they were amazing, and they got to talk with people from all over the United States and different parts of the world. So it's a really cool experience.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job. I guess we should, parents, are there parents here of the, I see, there we go. Everybody, wave, there we go, great.
Great job.
These parents that you're seeing invested a ton of time.
No, come on over. Yeah, come on over. Oh, wow, are they on your bag? Holy cow, they're huge. Set that thing up here where we can see it.
Yeah, put it up here.
What? That's full of pins?
Wow.
Good
Okay,
grief.
what's your favorite?
Got a whole bag of them?
Oh, my.
Look at this. 5 of those.
Which one was ours? Which was ours?
So did we have a special pen? Did our team have a pen?
So did you guys design these
What's
and
these-
get
what's
them
these
made
here?
before you went? Or
Yes, we have a state design.
Raceback? Okay.
So you got all those good
Cool.
stuff,
And my 4 daughters have a whole bag full.
Just start collecting them. Congratulations.
Good job.
So are these in multiple trips or just one trip?
Help him. Thanks.
I'm sure everybody got to bring them all the way back from World.
He's calling somebody.
Now these new administrators have to follow that.
That's awesome.
Okay, it's been a while since our last board meeting. We've had Miss Sissy Lindsay. Goodness, I'm doing the same thing. Miss Sissy moved over to SHS, and we have right now Dr. Curtis Gladden, who's been named as the Southwest Junior High Principal. And I'd like to invite Dr. Gladden to come to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Cleveland, for this opportunity. I've been in the district a long time and this is my 4th different building, and I'm just so excited to be at Southwest. From the moment it was announced, I got multiple texts and phone calls and emails about the history of Southwest and how it's just part of this community, and it's just really touching for me to be a part of that. And to be chosen to lead it through this transition phase with the construction. And there's a lot of sentimental value in everything that is there. Actually, Mr. Wagner popped in the other day and showed me where a time capsule was buried that we've got to figure out how to get out. It's like class of 2001, I think, maybe. Something like that. We got to get that out, and he showed me where he hid a key outside for 15 years, stuff like that. Anyway. Just in case he forgot his. So it's really an honor for me to be in that building. It's been a whirlwind. I mean, I walked in yesterday, walked up to the door and looked kind of dark. Tried to use my fob, didn't work. Used my key, went in, and there's no electricity on the first day with teachers back.
Nice.
So it's like, I didn't panic. I just sent Alan Athey a text, and he said, 15 minutes. I said, please, Lord. But it all came back, and we've got it going over there. It's quite a place right now with all the construction in the back, but it's going to be a beautiful building, and we thank you guys for doing that for us in the community. And the staff has been very welcoming, and hopefully we can keep it going there. So.
We're glad to have you there. I was a Cougar, and Nick just told me he was a Cougar. You were a Cougar?
Right, got lots of Cougars.
Where'd you go, Eddie?
Central.
You got 3.
I mean, I was a Warrior one time too, so I understand. So, no, I'm just honored that you've given me this opportunity, and hopefully I'll make you proud and continue the good traditions that Southwest has. So, thank you.
Forward to it. Good luck.
Thanks, sir. We also have another couple of district positions. I want to introduce you to Mr. Rodney Ellis. He's our workforce training director. He actually got to speak along with me and Ms. Kelly Williamson at Rotary on Monday. We enjoyed that. Mr. Bell is the president of Rotary and invited us to do that. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Ellis. Mr. Ellis, if you don't mind, just a minute or so. Sure. I don't know how you can do it in just a minute, but provide the vision for our efforts.
So, good evening, board and Dr. Cleveland. And just briefly, my position is very similar to what I had at Tyson the last 5 years. So, it's really to take your CTE programs along with what you have in-house and your technical programs, which could be STEM, medical, industrial maintenance, agri. There's a whole host of those. You have a great structural house. We're going to kind of redevelop, restructure, revamp, bring along and support our teachers in some new training programs. And we're also going to do that for our students. And at the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to tie industry and the school district in a way that's never been done. So your students will be workforce ready. So that's where that term comes from. We've got some state partners who are very durable and viable to us in this process. So it's going to be a good thing to do. It'll put a stamp on your district. I had an opportunity at Tyson to see 60-something schools across the United States in my role. So I've seen a lot of things that were done, and you have a good place to start. So I'm looking forward to what we do on this journey to provide opportunities for your students. And I think one of the myths that we will dispel is that you need the academic piece along with the technical piece. So you have students who are there who will be very well open to what the opportunities are in industry as we bring that partnership in. That's in a way it's never been done here in the district. So thank you for your time, and I'm excited to be here.
Mrs. Tara Lowe. Miss Tara, I want to ask you to crawl out of there if you don't care and come to the front. Miss Lindley got to do it the other day, and I'd love to introduce you publicly as another Springdale lead instruction specialist. So as you're coming, just talk about a little bit about your role and what you'll be doing.
Might have to move it closer. Well, good evening. First, I'd just like to say thank you to Dr. Cleveland, the board, Dr. Smith, Ms. Tischer, and Ms. Fink for the opportunity. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to work at the district level and be in an area that I feel comfortable, very, very comfortable with. I appreciate that Springdale gives us the opportunity to work in our passions. And this year, I'll get to work at HAR-BER High School with the middle school ALE and also the KA Connect buildings with curriculum instruction and being of support with them. Today, I got to go to Sonora and learn a lot about the PLC process because they're a PLC school. I'm gaining more information, putting that information in different places, prepared to put it at different schools, work with different schools, just to kind of continue to strengthen our teaching and our learning in the district. Really excited about it, very excited about all the growth that we can make in the district with this plan. Looking forward to working alongside Ms. Lindley. She's a wealth of knowledge. I've learned a lot from her in the past couple of days, and just being able to process off of each other and then make a bigger plan. Super excited. Just waiting to see all of the great things that come out of this position. So thank you again, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. We've had a couple of new members at HAR-BER to join our assistant principal ranks. They wanted to make sure that I told you that they did a lot of team building activities today, especially Brett Unger, and he didn't want anybody to call him out for what he's dressed like tonight. Anyway, we're proud of them both. So Mr. Brett Unger, if you don't mind, stand up, and Miss Ashley Markham, please stand up. These are two new assistant principals at HAR-BER High School. Next, of course, Brett was at Sonora and Sonora Middle, and he did a great job out there. And when he left, he provided a vacancy, and it was without question that Mr. Aaron Tenen was a great candidate. And so we interviewed him and selected. So this is Mr. Aaron Tenen, assistant principal at Sonora Middle. Okay. So an interesting concept has come forward. We, in Springdale, have a very robust SRO program, one of the most robust SRO programs in the state. We have 21 slots for SROs in our community, which is a large number. Springdale PD, like us, experiences staffing shortages occasionally. And right now, police officers in our community are in short supply. They're working very hard to try to find the right candidates, and I have great faith in our new chief and our city, and certainly Captain Taylor. But our effort is to deepen our protection level. I've always felt, as a teacher and a principal and now as a superintendent, that my responsibility was to protect the kids in my classroom or in my building, and now responsibility level of the district. When you have 23,000 students, 3,000 employees, that is a very heavy, like lead clothing feeling. you have it too. You're on the board. You feel responsible for all of it. But in the wake of a lot of really difficult safety problems across the country, whether it be in churches or malls, our schools, we don't want to be exposed here. So my recommendation to you is to allow us to go forward with creating a CSSO system. And what that is, and this is in full support of our police. Did I see Captain Taylor? Yeah, I did. And if you'd like to visit with Captain Taylor about any of this, I would love for him to be able to speak to you. But the goal here is to have protection of people who know what they're doing, like police officers, like SROs, at every elementary school. Right now, we have an SRO that's dedicated at Taneytown, with a Taneytown SRO at the new Jim D. Rollins Elementary School. So it leaves us short of about 18, even though our SROs do a great job divvying up the schools, high schools, junior highs, middle schools, and elementaries. This would be an additional layer of protection to where we have someone who is trained, fully vetted, that'll have the appropriate clothing on, that will be full-time security at every school, at every elementary school. So it's an investment that I feel is very necessary in today's world. And you say, well, Dr. Cleveland, how much is it going to cost? Right now, I haven't gotten all that pulled together, but I can certainly tell you that if something were to happen on one of our campuses, cost wouldn't be an issue. Does that make sense? It's how much is a child's life worth, and it's priceless. How much is a faculty member's life worth, and it's priceless. So in combination with our really robust SRO program, I'd like to ask permission if you would allow us to explore installing this CSSO program to add safety and security officers, commissioned safety and security officers in our school. Now, I have several companies who have reached out to talk to us about what they can do to help train. Well, I'm open to doing that. We also have some local providers that can train our CSSO safety teams, if you will. So we're working through that, and we're excited about the opportunity. Interestingly enough, I've never thought that a teacher should have to carry a gun on campus. I felt really strange about that. And I still feel that way. I do know we have former police officers that are teachers, and it certainly could be an option. But having identified safety and security officers at every building, every day, all day, that's part of the fabric of the family of an elementary school, seems to make a lot of sense to me, to where their primary and only focus is school safety. So, if you have any questions, I would invite you to visit with.
So will it be a combination of existing SROs and these in addition, or will
Yes, sir.
it be a combination of both?
It'll be a combination of both. So we're not proposing to reducing our SRO team. Right now, we're not at full capacity. We don't have 21.
But you plan to add staffing to accommodate a qualified person at each building?
Yes, sir. And
then who provides, I guess, oversight or management of that team?
Well, Damon Donnell is our student safety director and our student services director right now. So we would either hire someone or someone who's already on our staff, potentially Rusty Johnson or others who are certified to do that work, to oversee this team of safety officers. Now, we know we're not the first one to do this in the state. Lake Hamilton has a robust program. Jacksonville, Pulaski County has a robust program. So there are others that we can communicate with and gain information from. So it's a learning process for me, Mr. Olney, I have to tell you, but I'm committed to that learning process.
Well, I think it is for all of us, but I just want to clarify that our objective is all buildings. And use current SROs and then add to that to complement it to all buildings.
Yes, sir. That's right. Now, the SROs, I don't think Mr. Taylor has any desire to not partner the SROs with the elementaries too. So they would still be in and out and have a partner school, but it would let them have more focus on middle school, junior high, and high school. That's the way I envision that, and of course, it can change, it can morph into other things. But we have an opportunity at Lunch and Learn, I think October the 12th. And I'll have some folks in on that day. We can really have discussion about how I can tell you this, and with Rusty Johnson, he's already in a position to do this work. But we hired another gentleman to be he wants to be at HAR-BER and drive a bus. And I think he'll be our first CSSO. He's already certified. He's a certified CSSO at another entity. And so he's here. And he did that, the leap of faith, not even knowing what he might be paid. So we've got to pull that together and make sure that we can do that appropriately.
So you mentioned 18. Would that be the total number? Should that be the total number we would need to hire to close the gap from our shortage of current?
Yes, because having the Tawnytown SRO, we could even have a safety and security officer at Jim Rollins too. Because I think their SROs maybe curl through. They have several.
What does training and certification look like?
It's a 60-hour program. Yeah. Why don't you come on up? 60 hours and it's intense.
But also recertification, like annual evaluation, psychological.
Yep, there's a yearly, the Act 393 mandates all of the training requirements for it, and I put a link on there for you. It's a 60-hour minimum training, and then also there's a yearly refresher course. It's a 24-hour refresher course, and then there's also a renewal 3-phase course, which is also, the initial course is a 3-phase course as well, and it's 24 hours as well. And then just the minimum requirements must be 21 years old, must have a clean criminal record, and also must pass the state background check and the FBI check. And once cleared, you have to pass that every other year. Now, other things that districts can require as part of the CSSO program is ongoing training with law enforcement, which I think is very important because if they're our partners, they're our partners. We want to partner with them. And then random drug testing, psychological trainings, all those things that you said can be a part of that as well.
Did you say there was psychological examination?
That's a psychological testing. That could be a district requirement, but it's not required under the law that I'm aware of under Act 393.
So the state set these requirements?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all in it. If you click on that Act 393, you'll find all the requirements listed under there. I'll just tell you this, I'm a proud partner to be partners with Jeff Taylor and the Springdale PD team. I've had at least 3 meetings with them about this, and Scott Lewis, who's up there somewhere. Where's Scott Lewis at? Right there. It is a fantastic program. A lot of school districts utilize it without SRO officers, just in a standalone program. For us to use it with a SRO program as well, it just put us a step above. I mean, it will really put us on the cutting edge of protecting students, parents, families, and our community. So, fantastic piece. Any other questions?
There's a psychological evaluation for our SROs for the police
I don't know
department.
that, sir. You already do any psychological? Okay, so they do that as well. We partner with them, and whatever they do, we do basically the same thing.
I think that's my biggest push.
Absolutely. I'd lean on the people who have done it, the experts, which are standing right back there.
Is there anything you guys would like to add to the discussion that we haven't already talked about?
I can speak briefly on it. I talked to Dr. Cleveland about this several years ago, when they passed a law saying that school districts could have their own police department. And we talked about liability, things like that, and we said, hey, right now that's not the time to do it. He called me and asked me about CSSOs. I think the way that you are looking at doing it, I think it's very valuable. I don't like the idea of a teacher carrying a gun necessarily, because teachers have enough responsibility. Having a CSSO that is their only responsibility, and they're going to be in uniform, so our officers will know who they are. That was a concern of mine. If we showed up and there was an incident and our officers don't know who's supposed to be carrying a gun, right now they know the only people supposed to have a gun in the Springdale schools are our Springdale police officers. So with the CSSO program, the way it's designed with them in the uniform, I have 0 issues with it. I think it'd be great. We just, I know Dr. Cleveland would like to have an officer in every school. It's just not feasibly possible. I think this is a great alternative, and we have no intention, I talked to the chief about it, in fact, just before I came, zero intention of reducing our number of SROs. We're not going to pull back right now we have authorized for 21. We're short a couple because of some people that retired, things like that, but come school starting Monday, we'll have 17 in the schools. So we're dedicated and committed to this, but I think CSSO is a great alternative to having somebody that's armed in every school.
One other piece, Dr. Cleveland mentioned this, that's just a benefit for students and families, is that any CSSO hired would also be required to get a CDL and commit to driving a bus. So then there could be potentially 18 more bus drivers as well. So I'm just saying that out loud for everyone out there. Hey, you want to be a CSSO? We're going to ask you to drive a bus as well too. And we would work that to where it's not going to take away from any of the safety features. So if it's an elementary person, they might drive a secondary driver, and vice versa. So it'd just be that piece where we just have extra help on hand as well. I figured you'd like
This
that.
is a really broad question, but the CSSO responsibilities would be synonymous with the SRO's responsibilities, so there wouldn't be any chain of authority or custody.
No, I mean, obviously a
Does that make
CSSO,
sense?
they don't have the authority to make an arrest. They don't have those type
Right,
of
but
authorities.
as far as what we set out to be their responsibilities from a protection standpoint.
Yes, they would be the same.
One and the same.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, as far as protection standpoint, and it also gives you another layer. They can enforce school rules where we can't enforce a school rule. If you had a school principal saying, hey, I don't want kids wearing hats or hoodies or anything like that, as a police officer, that's not against the law. I can't tell them not to do that. Even our school resource officers, legally we can't do that. We can, hey, it's against the rules to do that, but we can't take any enforcement action on that. Or if you're at a ball game and they're standing, along the rail, I know that's a big thing. We can't go up and tell people, hey, you can't stand there. That's not against the law. That's what we call house rules. We don't enforce house rules. We can only enforce what the law says. Because as soon as we step in and we do something and we seize, their movements, now we're talking about a Fourth Amendment type violation if it's not an actual violation of the law. So your CSSOs can do a lot of things that we're not allowed to do, kind of like your administrators can do things that we can't do. So I think it's a good fit.
So next steps would be, if you approve us to continue with this, we'll need to create an opportunity to look at salary structure and the total number and what it might look like as far as equipment and stipends for that. So there's quite a bit of work to do. Quite a bit of work to do.
Or does anybody have any other questions or concerns that you'd like to discuss right now? If not,
I'll make a motion to approve the CSSO program as presented.
second. You ready? Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Emerson, a second by Mr. Ramos to approve the CSSO program as laid out here today. Is there any further discussion from anybody about anything? If not, you can always talk to Dr. Cleveland or Damon or anybody at the police department about anything if you have any questions. That being said, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks to the police department for being here tonight. Appreciate y'all.
They're fantastic. I think we'll need 18, but potentially 19 if Jim Rollins Elementary School.
He said we have 17, we'll have 17 SROs on Monday.
Yes.
So we're still about 4 shots.
So you voted to approve the CSSO program as it was presented today.
Yes.
So does that mean that pending?
We don't have salary structure, we don't have job description, we've got to do all that work.
Right.
And so that'll come back in front.
We'll go through once you go through that, or there's still no guarantee that the program will go all the way through?
No, they just told us we're doing it.
Committed to do
Okay,
it.
Yep.
you're committed, cool,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay. Oh, next is legislative update.
I am not giving legislative
I tell you, at this moment, our legislature's been reconvened by the governor, so they're in the special session. So we expect that the session will last a week. They had two major agenda items. The first is tax cut. I think that's been publicized pretty well. The second, school safety. The original called for $50 million to be distributed among districts, and we're not sure how that'll look. That was just a number that's been thrown out. Could be more, could be less. They could have additional details. But as of right now, we're waiting. All of us are. I don't have any crystal ball to tell you what we'll do. In regard to current situation with the legislative teams, specifically the ALC's here, and what they do is they look at the dollars that are necessary to run the state, and then they approve those for distribution through different state agencies. ALC held public school dollars, okay, which would be ESSER ARP dollars. That would be that third wave of federal money. So at this particular moment, $500 million in the state have been held. And our charge, I got a commissioner's memo from the state, is to submit our new ESSER ARP plan based on a recommendation that all certified personnel in every school receive a $5,000 bonus, and all classified personnel receive a $2,500 bonus, but there are some stipulations if you're part-time, full-time, that kind of stuff. So at this moment, I don't have any kind of recommendation for you at all because I just now have the information. And being in a special session, anything could change. But I can tell you that our effort moving forward is to make sure we comply with federal law and state law. In my view, right now, the federal guidance is not the same as what the state ALC committee recommended. And we can go into it further, but we've been told since the beginning of all of this COVID relief impact money that we are not to do cross-the-board bonuses at all. Our district has provided $2,600 bonuses collectively to every employee, whether it be certified or classified up to this point. Mr. Hayes and I believe that those dollars could be considered part of that $5,000 requirement or $2,500 requirement for classified. So we're not clear on that yet. We think that will work, but we need additional information. So tonight I just wanted to give you that update and let you know that we'll constantly be involved in communicating with you, but we haven't had our parent and community groups meet yet to see what next steps need to be for our ESSER dollars, ARP, and certainly you haven't had enough time to really study the current situation. So if it's all right with you, that's going to be our work. I can tell you, I believe Mr. Hayes may have the figure, but he told me last week that we have $2.3 million we've already spent in some of our ESSER funds that have not been distributed to us yet. So we don't know if that 2.3 is from ESSER 2 or from ESSER 3 or ARP. So we're looking at that and asking questions. The point is, if every district doesn't comply with the recommendation when you send in your plan, then the superintendents will be required, will have 72 hours, will be required to go in front of the ALC peer committee to say why. That's just where we are. I can tell you that several districts across the state, even with all the money put together, 1, 2, and 3, they don't have the money to do a $5,000, $2,500 bonus anyway. So it's hard to create one message for every district because every district got different amounts of money per child. So more to come. Have any questions, or some of you may even know more? I know Mr. Hutchison's been very involved with ASBA. He may have information.
I've got comments, but not for here.
Okay. Did I explain everything okay? Did I? Okay. All right. Of course, Mr. Hayes is in the back if you have any questions for him. But if not, we'll just...
He's probably got comments, but not for here too.
ALC.
So what, if they knew that that's what the federal government said to do or not to do, then what gives them, how can they get that direction then?
It's a recommendation.
A recommendation.
It's a recommendation, but it is kind of direction if you are required to go up there and tell them why you're not following the recommendation.
So I wonder where did that come from? Who determined that?
The ALC committee. There have been, the governor came out, what, a month ago or more, and said we need to raise the base pay in the state to $46,000, which is roughly a $10,000 increase. Well, we're already above that, and some of the federal guidance said you can use those ESSER dollars for bonuses for recruitment and retention, like our school bus drivers. Right now, we have a shortage, and we've been using those ESSER dollars, $20 a day bonus for every day that's worked, right? And so that's an appropriate use of funds. But when the governor came out and said, I'd really like to use some of this almost $2 billion surplus to improve teacher pay, I don't believe that everyone in the legislature knew he was going to say that, and maybe it created some tension. And so at this particular moment, from what I've witnessed on TV and listening to others, is that teacher groups across the state, just there are variations of what's paid, have put pressure on local legislators and the legislature as a whole to increase pay. And this was an opportunity to use federal money and not that state surplus to impact teacher pay. Speaking of the governor, the reason why I added G to your, or asked to add G to your agenda was I was notified yesterday that he has recommended that I be appointed to the advisory board of the Arkansas Center for School Safety of the Criminal Justice Institute. And to me, I would like to ask permission to participate, and I don't think I can say, yes, I can do it without board approval. And I think it's only appropriate to do that. I don't know the number of meetings that'll take place, whether it's traveling to Little Rock or they'll do it by Zoom, I'm not sure.
Well, it'd look pretty bad if you said no.
Yeah, I really don't want to say no. I'd like to be a part of that discussion where we can learn what's necessary.
Dr. May does all that by Zoom, so I don't think you have to travel down there another day.
Okay.
I mean, you already go down there a couple, 2 times a month, I think, so.
Feels like a lot sometimes. So anyway, I'd like to ask permission to participate. The appointment would last until 2024. It expires August 3rd, 2024. So it's not long.
Board, is anybody willing to make that motion to allow that?
I move that the board support Dr. Cleveland's appointment to this committee.
All right, we have Mr. Bell made a motion and Mr. Olnby seconded to allow Dr. Cleveland to move forward with with the governor's recommendation for him to join the Safety Advisory Board. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Is that close
Yeah,
enough?
it's close
Okay.
enough. It's the advisory board of the Arkansas Center for School Safety of the Criminal Justice Institute.
Okay. Any other discussion about that? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed to that? Looks like you got yourself a new job,
Thank you.
an additional job.
I'll do my best to make sure I don't embarrass you and serve the district well, and the other districts in the state. Okay. Mr. Hutchinson, I suppose we're on to curriculum instruction. Now, Ms. Fink, you can come to me.
You know something about this one?
Good evening, Board. Dr. Cleveland. I'm here tonight to give just an update on the elementary reading curriculum. Dr. Marzano created a framework that defines 5 progressive levels of performance for schools to progress through in order to have ultimate success for their students and their teachers. And I really want to focus tonight on levels 1, 2, and 3, safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. We're accomplishing that through our collaborative team meeting time, all of the talk that we've had about CSSOs and school resource officers. I feel like we're in a really, really good place in level 1. Number 2, effective teaching in every classroom. That is teachers having the skills and the research-based strategies that they need to deliver sound quality grade level instruction to the students. And then number 3, guaranteed and viable curriculum is just teachers identifying essential standards by grade level and ensuring that every student in their class, regardless of socioeconomic status, SPED status, that every single student, all student, will master that grade level curriculum. I have a clicker. So I wanted to give you a little bit of background. In 2017, the Arkansas legislature passed the Right to Read Act. And I just kind of pulled out 3 big points that have really impacted reading curriculum in Springdale. The Right to Read Act requires science of reading training for all certified teachers. And not only do elementary and SPED teachers have to receive this training, but they also have to be evaluated. And they have to be, the evaluator has to say that you are proficient in delivering science of reading in your classroom. Highly qualified instructional materials should be used in every classroom. Here in just a minute, I'm going to show you the state-approved literacy curriculum list. And there are now financial consequences if districts use reading strategies or materials that are counter to the science of reading or the Right to Read Act. So I went to the Department of Education website, and I just kind of clipped this so you could see what it looked like. This is the Arkansas Literacy Curriculum Approved Program. And at the top, towards the end, you'll see phonological awareness, phonics, vocabulary comprehension, and fluency. Those are all the components that are needed for a comprehensive reading program. And then if you look underneath, you'll see boxes that are shaded in green. That means that the company applied through Department of Education, and they said, yes, this program meets this component of a comprehensive reading program. You'll see some boxes are gray. That's because they did not meet the Department of Education's requirements to be approved in that component. And then you see some that are yellow, which means a little bit, maybe. And then you see some that are white or blank, and it says did not submit for review. The company already knew that that program did not possess that component, so they did not submit it for review. So as you're looking at that, what do you notice? Is there one program on there that meets every single component of the reading program? No. So that puts us in a really interesting predicament in Springdale because we would have to purchase multiple programs in order for our teachers to be able to deliver a comprehensive reading program. Oops.
You broke it.
I broke it.
You threw a breaker.
I have my notes, so I'm going to keep going. There you go.
That's back.
Thank you. Okay. I guess I pressed the wrong button by accident. All right, so in the past, our district, we determined as a district what the essential standards were that teachers were going to be teaching in the classroom. We said, these are your essential standards, therefore we want you to make sure that we have a guaranteed and viable curriculum happening in your classroom. We also, as a district, created pacing guides and said, here's a curriculum, this is when we want everything taught. And then, in addition, we had phonetic connections and reading units of study, which if you go deep into that approved reading curriculum list, you'll know that phonetic connections and reading units of study are not on the approved curriculum list. So as we have aligned our efforts to become more of a professional learning community model, we know that it is super important for our teachers to identify those essential standards in their grade level teams, that they need to own that work so they can unpack the standards and they can truly understand what it is that we're asking students to learn at high levels. We also now want to turn the pacing over to teachers. We want to really kind of build their capacity to be able to say, these are our essential standards for first 9 weeks, and this is how we're going to teach, and this is when we expect mastery by. Our teachers have been working to create lessons under the direction of Linda Odell, our instructional specialist. So teachers are now owning that curriculum design process. And instead of us just handing them a curriculum, we've created a bank of lessons organized by essential standards that teachers can now go and choose, excuse me, the lessons that align with their essential standards, or create their own lessons. And then we added phonics first. Excuse me. So this is just an example of what you would see if you were to click on our literacy curriculum link on our district website. This is a kindergarten, this is the kindergarten curriculum. And if you'll notice at the top, there are the standards for kindergarten. Our teachers then went through and they chose books that were grade level appropriate, that align with the standards, and they created lessons that a teacher can now go in and pick. So if they're teaching prompting and support, asking and answering questions in kindergarten in the first 9 weeks, they have a whole bank of lessons that they can go and pick from. If a teacher chose We Don't Eat Our Classmates, and they're teaching identify the front cover, back cover, and title page of a book, and they click on that We Don't Eat Our Classmates, this is what they would see. So it begins to give teachers the resources and the strategies and the skills to teach that standard. And then on a further click, this is where the lesson comes. And so this tells teachers explicitly what they can say in order to teach that specific standard to the students. Now, at any time, if a teacher doesn't want to use these lessons, they're not tied to them. So we do give them a template, and we give them the training that they need to go in and create their own lessons. So next steps, we will continue to refine and revise our elementary reading curriculum. We know that our middle school ELA curriculum needs some work, so we need to create focus groups to begin having those conversations of what this could look like for middle school. In addition to literacy, our state is embarking with MathQuest, and so we are now in the process of training all of our teachers with the MathQuest program, so I'm sure there will be changes to the curriculum based on what teachers learn through this initiative. And then we're also embarking in the Writing Revolution, which is the state's 3 through 12 writing initiative that will kind of refine what we're doing for writing. Do you have any questions? Okay, all right, thank you.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Cleveland. So my very short segment tonight is just to update you on our collaborative team meeting, growth and professional development. As you know, our collaborative team meetings across the entire district will be taking place on Wednesday afternoons. And again, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to engage in collaborative team time on Wednesdays. I cannot even begin to tell you how exciting the last 2 days have been in our buildings. As teachers have returned, they're excited, they're on fire, and they're ready to kick off a great school year. A big part of the last 2 days has been about what will we be doing exactly during collaborative team meeting time on Wednesdays, how will we be prepared to go deep into the learning of that process. And so our principals have been prepared, and they're now preparing our teachers to spend the entire first semester really focusing on the why and the how of the CTM process. And the way we did that was by developing a collaborative team meeting professional development matrix. And you all have a link to the matrix, and you've seen it before. And I would just encourage you, if you have any spare time, to just kind of take a look through it. And if you have any questions, we would love to discuss it with you. But I think for tonight, just me giving a quick overview of what it is And the purpose of it will just help bring an understanding to how 1,800 teachers across our entire district are going to have a global understanding and a know-how of how to implement this process. And so the CTM Professional Development Matrix is a progression of 13 sessions. Each session is broken into 4 parts. It includes a review, a read and explore section, a discuss section, and a do. So it gives teachers and administrators step-by-step instructions on how to design and use this process, including an ongoing agenda that includes artifacts and evidence. And then it gives them the tools and resources to fully engage in the professional learning community's model and process. The purpose of the CTM is huge. It's kind of the make or break of the entire process, in our opinion. To us, the number one most important piece that this matrix brings is global alignment of the professional learning community's process, which truly entails every single piece of our work. It is the heart of our work. And when you think about trying to bring along all certified staff in our entire district, it is so exciting that we have this matrix and that we're all going to be on this learning journey together. Again, it includes the why and the how of the PLC process, which we all know is huge in building the foundation. We kind of like to say, you know, you kind of have to go slow to go fast. We're going to have to really dive deep into the why. It includes protocols for our CTM time. And it also includes guided practice on how those agendas are created and used and what artifacts and evidence is appropriate. And I think a huge piece of this as well is it includes support for administrators who are leading and managing some very complex change. And so when I try to explain this to people, the work itself is not new, but the way in which we are doing it is new. Because as we've said before, we've been doing PLC Lite for a long time, and we had a very renowned speaker in our district, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, and he came to us from Solution Tree, and he said, you know, some people flirt with PLC, some people date PLC, and other people get married to PLC. And I think just an honest assessment is we've definitely dated and flirted with PLC, but now that we've made this commitment to our CTM Wednesday, we are entering into a marriage. And so, as Dr. Muhammad said, we're like Beyonce and we've put a ring on it. And so now we're moving forward, and this work is very exciting. And if you see any teachers out and about or any administrators, please ask them about the CTM matrix and just see what kind of feedback you get. It's very exciting work. If you dive into this matrix and you have any questions, or if you want us to sit down and go through any parts with you, or if you want to visit a school on a Wednesday afternoon and be a participant or a process observer, we would absolutely love that. So we are very excited and looking forward to a great year. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Cleveland Board. On your agenda, you'll see a link to a PLC handbook. And so as you know, Ms. Tischer, myself, and Ms. Fink are very passionate about the PLC process. But I will say, of the three of us, Ms. Fink is the woo-woo of them all because she was really the mastermind behind the CTM matrix, and she was also the mastermind behind the PLC process. And she said, please don't mention anything, but I just did, so there you go. It really is something that the state is actually looking at as, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because a district this size, getting everybody heading in the same direction, this was a big process, and we had a lot of different input from a lot of different people in our district to help create it, so I just wanted to give a shout out to her and the work that she's done. Some basic information that I did want to give you is student bell schedules. Last time we talked, we had some work to do with transportation to ensure that we could meet the schedules, and so they are done. So elementary will go from 7:45 to 3:10. Please note that this is the student bell schedule. And then on Wednesdays, they will be out at 1:50. Middle schools will go from 8:05 to 3:30. And on Wednesdays, they will be done at 2:10. And the junior highs and high schools will go from 8:40 to 4:05. and on Wednesdays, they will be out at 2:45. So just wanted everybody to see that. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is back to school. So in the miscellaneous section of your agenda, there is the calendar. There is also a hard copy for you at your seat. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is we have new teachers that are now coming to our district. And so there are 2 days, Thursday and Friday last week, where they come in and they're oriented to what Springdale does and how awesome we are. But August 3rd was an optional day, and this was not just for new teachers, but it was for novice teachers in year 1, 2, or 3. We had about 80 people that took us up on this option, and they came in and had the most wonderful learning experience. And one of the things, I want to give a shout out to Laura Bishop. She said, you know, this would be an awesome thing to be able to provide some opportunities like we did with our Innovation Institute with some of our new teachers. And so from that came about this awesome learning. But I thought the first thing, they had different teachers making statements, but one of the teachers said, my takeaway is that I have support within the district and that there are lots of resources available. Sometimes your first year, you're not exactly sure what to be looking for, and after you start getting into that first year, you start thinking, what's available? And so there were some great responses from the teachers. They had a lot of different activities with SEL, just basic stuff from Bobby Cole gave us some information on Triand and what does that mean and how do you look up information. So it was a great day of learning for our teachers. Then on August 4th, we had the CNI day, and Dr. Cleveland was able to do a big set for the day. He started us off great. He did it a little remotely, but it worked out beautiful. We were in Don Tyson School of Innovation cafeteria, and it was a great setting. He did a set for the day. The teachers come in, and the CNI did a set for the day, and then the instructional specialist, Ms. Atara Lowe, who's here, and also Ms. Sissy Lindley and the specialist, they did a great set. And then the ESL department, Carrie Brado and her team, they came in and finished off the day. The remarks that the teachers had about the impact that we have on teaching and learning and how we help teachers was just amazing, that information. And then on August 5th, believe it or not, there's some nitty-gritty stuff that has to happen with new teachers about what is required through the state and what does that look like in the teacher evaluation system. And Mr. Damon Donnell, he did a great job leading that professional development that day. Special education also came in that day and did some information training for our special ed teachers. So as you can imagine, those 3 days were jam-packed with a lot of information and a lot of learning. Do you guys have any questions about what's on your schedule coming up? I hope you guys are able to join us on next Thursday for the chamber event and next Friday for our back-to-school kickoff with teachers.
The back to school starts at 9. It should be done by about 11:30.
We are splitting Thursday. There will be a live group at HAR-BER High School and a remote at DTSOI. We've taken the district faculty and they will be at one of those two facilities. And then on Friday, we will all be in the Performing Arts Center at Springdale High School. Okay. If you need any reminders, calendar invites, anything, you just let me know and we'll get them to you. Thank you.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Cleveland. This evening I have the July financials for you. When I looked at the overall summary, you'll see that the federal programs had a negative revenue, which looks really strange. But with our federal monies, we have to spend it and then get reimbursed by the government, by the federal government. So in July, though, so they're all we're in the red at the end of June, excuse me. At the end of June, we're in the red. But the state requires us to book a receivable to zero them all out. But then on July 1st, they require us to reverse the receivable. It's really goofy. Debbie kind of gets what I'm saying, I hope. But anyway, at the end of July, we're back in the red, which is a normal way for us to operate with federal funds because we're always being reimbursed, if that makes sense. I just know it looks kind of funny on there, a negative revenue. How do you have that? So in looking at our revenue report for the operating fund, we're slightly behind where we were this time last year percentage-wise. I'm not overly concerned about that. The year's just started. We got lots of year ahead of us to collect lots of money. And then on the expenditure side, we are about in line with where we were last year. So I did, since y'all haven't approved the new budget yet, I just used last year's budget numbers. I will present the budget to you next month at the next meeting. So anyway.
It'll change next.
It will. It'll change next month. Yes, it certainly will. So anyway, that was kind of quick, but do you have any specific questions or anything I can help you with?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 2022 financial statements as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mrs. Creek and a second by Mrs. Cook to approve the financials as presented by Mr. Hayes. Is any further discussion, any other questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Board, thank you. The next item that I have for you, we have an opportunity to purchase some property located at 1120 West Center Street, which is right behind the football stadium scoreboard at SHS across the street. We already have some property along that street, and so this is an opportunity for us to purchase this at the price of $185,000, and that's the recommendation that we would make for y'all.
Do you know the size of the lot?
Is it where's Jeremy? I think it's about a half acre, isn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Half acre.
This is actually a little under market value, is that correct?
I think,
That's right, that's market value.
I think it is.
The expectation is we would follow the same protocol that we had at the central property and for the other two houses close to Springdale High School, and request the state allow us to use some federal funds to do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you for mentioning that.
Is there any plan so far as to what will happen with all of that together? Or
I'm sorry.
is there any plans for any of that land yet?
What about the land?
Yeah.
Part of it is to expand our footprint, when we're building the arena and the new classroom section, it took up a lot of green space. I mean, it just did, the footprint got much bigger. And so this provides us the opportunity to have some footprint back. It is over on the other side of Center Street, so that is interesting. But we may have opportunities in the future to potentially even, build something on that road, close that street. We'd have to do that. There's a whole lot of conversation with the city and all, but it would expand our footprint of Springdale High, and as you know, it's very tight.
To move forward, we will need a motion to do this. Let's see, I think I have a resolution here somewhere, I think. Yes. So the resolution reads like this. Whereas the Board of Directors of the Springdale School District is authorized to buy and sell property pursuant to Arkansas Code, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the purchase of 1120 West Center Street, Springdale, Arkansas, is in the best interest of the district. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education of Springdale School District authorizes the superintendent to execute documents on the board's behalf to buy the property described above. So, if someone would like to...
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the property as stated in the resolution, 1120 West Center Street, Springdale.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Almby and a second by Mr. Emerson to purchase the property at 1120 West Center Street and approve the resolution as presented. All those in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed to that?
Okay. Mr. White?
Board. I've got an update on several of our projects. So this is the SOI driveway. This will be the entrance to the DTSOI parking lot. And these pictures are from Friday, so they actually did put some asphalt down today. So this is just looking south toward Turnbow. This is actually at Turnbow, and this is off Don Tyson Parkway. And like I said, they started laying asphalt here, and they were up at 2 o'clock today. They were past Turnbow with one lane. They were hoping to get it done by Friday. It just depends on the weather, if they can make that deadline. But they're making a lot of progress now. So once the asphalt goes down, they'll put up light poles and then start putting the finished dirt and everything back up and around. There's fence that has to go in between the playground and the road on the Turnbow property. But it'll go quick. This is at Springdale High. This is where the flat building's set. So they're actually getting ready to start digging the footings for the new building. We did run into some unknowns. About 8 feet down below the flat building, there was existing walls and footings. So we had to get some geotesting done. That'll have to come out and get good red dirt put back in for the footings. They've got some of the stormwater and everything done on the site, so there's a lot of work happening on that site. This is at Central Junior High, so this is looking south and east a little bit. This will be the new footprint of the new Phase 1 building. They've got all that dug out, red dirt put back in. It's looking very good. There will be a parking lot on the east side. The gravel on the east of this picture will be for buses to pull in and unload this year. This is looking to the southwest. There'll be a little bit of a retention pond, and then the job trailer sits over on that side, and a laydown area for all the construction supplies that'll be coming in. This is the temporary parking, and then we've got some temporary driveways in there so we can get the bus traffic separated from the parent traffic. So all of that's completed. And then they actually started tearing down on the building yesterday on the section that comes down. So it will be down by Monday. Should be down by Friday.
I drove by there this morning in the southwest corner.
Mm-hmm.
Was pretty much down.
Yeah, they worked today, so the rain probably actually helped. So that's going. This is the used to be the serving area and storage that was in the existing cafeteria. We turned it into the cafeteria. So that's all up and running. We've got all the equipment going. They're polishing waxing the floors tonight. So it'll be ready. We did get one photo in. So that was yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock. So they made some progress today with the actual demo. Southwest, we've got the portable classrooms, and we've got everything gone to them, so they're good. They'll be putting in concrete sidewalks and access to the portables from the building, and also over to the existing gym. We're going to end up, we added 2 doors out of the north side of the gym, so they will be using that for band and for PE. So they'll have a concrete walkway to get over that's secured. It'll have construction fence, securing everybody from the construction site. There's a photo of it. So that's the existing gym. They've got some of the dirt work done, completed, back to the east. And so they're putting in water lines today. We're having to refeed the building utilities and stuff before school starts. The middle schools, this is a picture of J.O. Kelly. We started Monday, setting the units. And we'll have all the units except 4 at Jail Kelly completed. And there's 1 unit at Helen Tyson that's not on. They've got back ordered. So those will have to go on in September or early October over a weekend. So they're making a lot of progress there. And then George Elementary, we're still working with the insurance company to get that claim settled. We've started the catastrophic funding application, working with the architect on plans along with the principal. And so we're making progress on it. We should have news in about 3 weeks on the insurance claim. So that will help. Do you guys have any questions on construction for me?
Good job.
All right. Well, I'll have Kevin and Tracy come up and talk about transportation.
Yeah, let me just do a little set for them. As you all know, bus drivers, we've experienced a shortage over the last several years. We're continuing to experience that shortage. Part of the challenge that we have in filling these positions is that the bus drivers work for a few hours in the morning and then a few hours in the afternoon. And so that's a hard schedule to work. It's not just a straight 8 hours or something. So it's challenging to find folks. The bus drivers we have are wonderful. We wish we could multiply them. We are, as Dr. Cleveland mentioned earlier, we are encouraging our employees to consider getting their CDL, and in some cases, we're pretty much strong-arming them into doing so. But our goal is always to transport all of our students safely and to school each and every day, because we know our families rely on this. The shortage of bus drivers is creating some issues for us, and so we've asked them to come and give y'all an update tonight.
Hello, school board president, school board members. I thought about tonight how I was going to start this particular presentation. I had a good friend of mine and coach ask me one day, what is it that keeps you up at night? And I told this gentleman, not being able to get kids to and from school on time, or to their athletic events or their field trips to and from on time. And it still keeps us up at night. And it has for the past 2 to 3 years since COVID-19. In 2017-18, we ran 100 bus routes. We had 23 sped routes. And I'm not using notes for this because I live it every day. As of today, we have 58 regular routes, 5 teacher coach drivers. We have 5 teacher coach drivers that are going to help us with our secondary runs or elementary runs. And we're developing those routes as we speak. It's not something that a transportation director wants to ever have to go through. We research what got us here. We know what has gotten us to this point, to where we're at today. So we're not the department. Doing nothing is the wrong action at this point. And I think everyone can agree. There are several different models for the last 2 years that we have looked at over and over. And we're going to call this our emergency model, because that's where we're at. Why do people not want to be a bus driver? You hear across the board answers every day of why. Some of them good, some of them I don't want to, some of them I don't want to mess with the kids, the traffic's horrible, but the plain fact of the matter is that 45% of our drivers are over the age of 65. Over 75% of those drivers are medically at risk, according to the CDC. When you put those combinations together with a 2.9% unemployment rate in Washington County, for us on the unemployment side, that usually adds up to about 1,500 folks. Because now remember, Fayetteville's got to try to go after some of these folks. And with that 1,500 folks, how many of them can pass a drug test? How many of them can pass a criminal background check? Child maltreatment, how many of those folks do we have left? Well, so I looked into the retirement. I couldn't find an accurate because the actual unemployment rate was from June of 2022. So I looked into the retirement rate. So this before the meeting, I couldn't find a real up-to-date one. It's about 21 was a far or as recent as I could get. It was at about a 9.6 retirement rate. Throw COVID in on top of that. Because now I have people all the time ask me, what do you feel like is the issue with hiring drivers? So you throw COVID in on top of that. Well, a lot of those folks don't want to drive under those conditions. I am retired. I finally made it to this point. They love kids, but they don't want to risk it. And we can understand that. Dr. Cleveland and you guys on the board have done a fantastic job supporting our drivers. Our coaching and our staff have really stepped up. The new ELDT program that we had to put into place with the federal government takes about 30 hours to complete, start to finish. We started this a year ago before we were even required to. We developed our own program. People were calling us, what are you doing? What are you gonna do? But we started this and implemented it about a year ago because we want our drivers to have the best tools that they can have. Why? Because they're our students. We're not hauling dry goods. We're not hauling chickens. We're hauling students. So that brings us to this point. We looked at so many different options in order to accommodate our students. And I'll tell you right now, when you're short bus drivers, there's none of them that are good. And that is the plain fact. When you're short, and I think Mr. Owensby may be in logistics and different things in your career, so you understand that. If I can't get my product to and from, it's not any good. But we're talking about students. So for 2 years, we researched. There were two options. One, we can increase walk zones when it comes time. Or not walk zone, no transport zones. Right now, Springdale School District has a 1 mile no transport zone around every building. 1 mile no transport. So Robert Guadini, our GIS coordinator, and I were visiting, so we ran some numbers. How many students would it affect? Because this is not a knee-jerk reaction. How many students would this affect if we went to a 2 mile no transport zone? It was astronomical. Is it fair? You might as well not run routes inside your districts for your elementaries because that would include a wide compass of folks, students. So I told them this is not going to work. I had visited Fort Smith school districts probably 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I told Dr. Cleveland I'm going to go down, I'm going to look and see how they do it because they only run about 50-something routes. 53, I think, to be exact. Fort Smith, Arkansas runs about 53 routes and has been doing this program for 40 years plus. The problem that I didn't like with Fort Smith School District was the fact that they do not transport outside the city limits. I don't know if anybody knows that or not. I did not like that model at all. They bring those from 71, they bring them up to a location, then the bus will pick them up and take them to school. Didn't like that, didn't want to do that. No, that's not what we're about. So then there was another option. So I asked Miss Day, I said, Tracy, let's run some scenarios where we can actually accommodate just 58 routes. So we started kind of in town, started working around where we could do this. Wasn't good enough. Even with the 2 mile walk, no transport walk zone, whatever you want to call it, it was not going to be enough to affect. And if you can't do it, it's not going to work, right? If I can't get that kid to and from. So the next thing that we done is we took it into our rural areas, which we did not want to do. When you have a bus in the rural with 12 kids on it going an hour and a half, and we don't care because it's not about the money, it's about the time. Anybody that knows anything about logistics, it comes down to the minute. It's not about the money. It's about using the staff efficiently and effectively. So with that, we took those minutes. We were going to have to make up 21 minutes on every route of 58. Every driver was going to have to make up 21 minutes. So that's when we decided that we were going to have to do consolidated stops. And if you know anything about logistics, now remember, none of these options are good options. It's where we're at. It's where we're trying to solve a problem. We know to date that as we get drivers, we will expand back out into these areas. We were fortunate enough to get a driver the other night to come in, and she I don't think has got her paperwork complete, that we are going to start expanding these back out. This is not knee-jerk. There's been a lot of time. Tracy's been up till midnight. We've been working 12, 14-hour. No one, we've come in and cried together. I'm just going to tell you, because we are trying to get kids to and from school on time and to their athletic events. If it were not for our coaches and our teaching staff, these athletic events could not happen. On Thursday nights, we'll have anywhere between 28 to 32 activities, and some of those require more than one bus on a Thursday night. And all of those, Dr. Cleveland, are coaches. Okay?
We spoil all rights now.
Yes. So, and I'm trying to not take up everybody's time, but I want you to understand how this progressed over the years. And it wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction. We had meetings, we fussed, and we discussed. I know that we had some issues with our compass at first, which we are getting new technology for our buses, which makes me very happy as well, along with Dr. Cleveland. This technology will take a time to install. It will track students. It will be a new routing program. It tells if a student's at the wrong stop. It's a GIS, AVL. It does all the cool stuff. But if you don't have a driver to put on that bus, that technology's not worth a dime. All right, I know I'm on my soapbox, but it's reality. If you took the 58 routes that we have right now, and we had 100, that leaves you with 42 routes since 2017 that we have lost. With that, if you took that number and divided it by 30, say, that's what the 42 routes would run, you would come up that each driver had to, and I'm trying to drive this home, in order to transport every kid would have to do 19 minutes more on their route, okay? Can we do it? It is my commitment to our students, one, that we could get a bus at that stop every day at that time. Do we believe we can do it? Yes, we do. Numbers show it, reality, coaches, teachers, family members are going to help us do that. Then, as we get driver, we'll expand out. So, I wanted to say, and I know Tracy hasn't spoke anything at this point, I wanted to say and tell and commit to these families that can hear my voice in these communities that we are dedicated to service, not only for the families, but for our teachers and our principals, but number one and mainly for those kids. With that being said, if there is a community out right now that has been affected, if you will come or find a family member to come to our office, get our CDL, I'll put you a bus in that community that you can drive these kids to and from and pay you to do so. Does that sound fair to you, Dr. Cleveland? Yes. Agree? We have more buses than we do employees. And we're Springdale, Arkansas, and I truly believe that we can overcome this. It's just how. If you go to get your CDL, you'll have to go get your packet. And I'm gonna go through this real quick. You go get your packet, costs you $50. We're gonna reimburse that. I think it's 52 now, someone told me. We're gonna reimburse you that. You'll study, take your test, we'll tell you what modules. You take your written test, you'll go back to the DMV. Let me tell you, when you go to the DMV, you want to make sure you take your birth certificate. Because if you're in Springdale, Arkansas, and you don't have your birth certificate, when you go down there, it's another 2-hour wait and a number. So make sure you have your original birth certificate. You take your written test. Once you gain your CLP, you'll have to go back to the DMV and get your CLP after the test scores. You come to our office and we take it from there. So with that, under the new ELDT guidelines, we will require about 10 hours of theory training now to get you to the behind the wheel portion. But we do all that in our office, and you know what? We're gonna pay you while you're there. On your first check, Mr. Hayes has agreed to reimburse, and this happened ever since I've been here, I didn't believe. So that when you get your first check, you will have a reimbursement. When you're ready for the behind the wheel portion, Marcy Bagwell will set you up for training. On that note, once you pass your training and get through that part of it, you will then have to have your pre-employment drug test, FBI background check, state background check, and child maltreatment check. Those are the steps of getting a CDL, and we will definitely help you through the process. When you apply online, and there again, any community that can hear my voice right now, you find me someone near aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, we'll get them a CDL, I'll put a bus in that neighborhood at your house.
How much time does it take from the start to get to CDL to when they are ready to drive?
You know, after the written examination, it takes about 30 hours. But we do all of that in-house.
That means driving the bus, practicing driving the bus?
And we
Seat time?
Exactly, and then Marcy loads that into the website to where we keep track of how many hours the driver has. You have to pass a little test. Welcome to our world, and Kevin, you may deal with that with drivers that you have to deal with and the lack thereof. CDL bus driver actually has to have some hazmat. Now, I thought some of those kids needed a little hazmat, but hazmat training. So that's kind of some things that we're working through legislation on trying to correct to where we just have a CDL portion to that. Now, once that you have your CDL, you're not a Springdale bus driver yet. I'm going to tell you why. What makes a Springdale bus driver? You might wipe a child's nose. You may put a Band-Aid on a child. You may clean up a puddle of puke. You may feed children in a pandemic when asked to volunteer. You may cry in the break room whenever we had to stop feeding because we couldn't no longer meet the CDC guidelines. So we had to stop feeding on buses. You may sit in my office with stage 4 cancer and cry, not because of the cancer, but because I cannot transport my students any longer. That was John Marshville, drove for us for years on the restaurant. You may be stranded on Kelly Road, and I think some of you guys seen that on TV. Knee-deep water as the water's rising up on the first step. And keeping your children calm while Miss Day is on the phone and she's getting emotional because she's lived through all this. Kept the students calm. Helped save a teacher's life. Edna Johnson. Can I say who it is in the room? Springdale traffic. Most importantly, all the handmade letters and cards that those little students give us. When I was subbing a bus, the most favorite part of the day, and I have this one little girl, I swear she wanted to give me a card every other day, and I took it, and I have them in my office. That's why we do what we do in Springdale Transportation. And if anyone feels up to being a part of this family, come see me. Because we're a family in Springdale Transportation. And Tracy, I've done all the talking, so you get to talk now.
Well, I was asked to let y'all know how to get on and check where the bus stops are. So if you go to the Springdale Schools website, you'll go down to district and then transportation, and it's actually under zoning information. And so this will pull up Compass. Now I will let you know that Compass's maps are old, so some of the subdivisions has not shown up yet, but that's why we're getting the new program. You'll type in your address. I used one. It's 4738 Stonewall Crossing. And it pulls up the schools. There's Zone 4 and the bus stop. And as you see, the bus stop for Hart, J.O. Kelly, George, and Springdale High School are all the same across the board. And the reason we've done that is if my Hart bus is out, I can pick that up because that's where the kids are all meeting at, with J.O. Kelly, with George. So that's how we're going to try to reassure that we're going to get all the kids home and to school. Sometimes you'll get this error, and that's just part of the new subdivisions that's not in there. So if you know where you're at, you can actually do a map click and it'll, like this one I used, it's over there around Young Elementary, and I just map clicked at the entrance of the subdivision, and it pulls up all the bus information.
And I will tell you that Tracy and our office ladies every year will go out and they will identify these new subdivisions that probably is not loading on Google Map or whatever, write street names down, locations, so that when people call, hey, that's a new subdivision, then we can tell them where that's at, which happens here a lot.
Yeah. Have any questions?
Tracy, how many drivers do you have right now that are in process?
One. We have one that is actually testing with Marcy, I guess we'll say two. We have one that is testing with Marcy on, I believe, Thursday, but she is already signed to a route and has been going out and practicing that route. And so she's part of the 58 that we have. And then we have one that is in training and not sure how long it's going to take her to. And once we get her, we'll put her out to help expand that area too.
Any other questions from us? I know it was pretty to the point, and just remember it's not something that we wanted to do. That we are committed to start expanding these back out into different locations as we get drivers.
So with the 58 that we have, I know last year the big deal was the moms and dads getting that text in the morning that that route wasn't, or that bus wasn't running. So with the plan that you have in place, if all 58 buses are able to run, does that mean that there won't be any of those last minute
I will
cancellations?
never 100%, because we don't know what COVID's going to do. We have developed this, that our goal is every one of those run, they stop at that stop at this time, and they get there at that time in the afternoon. That's huge for children, and it has to be huge for us as well, because it's all about minutes. It's about safety above and beyond. And I know that some of these stops that are out there, that when we're discussing this, they're out in areas. I have all of those, I'm reviewing them. Obviously, you can imagine how many phone calls I get a day and how many emails, so I'm taking them as they come. There are 4 locations at this point that we're looking, and we have them in line to be expanded first, due to safety issues. I understand as a father how important this is, that what we're doing. I drove those little kids. I drove pretty much every route in the district last year, more than once. I've become associated with those kids and their families, so you can imagine what it feels like for me to have to implement something like this, and Tracy. So we're going to do our best to make it better, but to do nothing is the wrong action.
Kevin, when do you expect the system to be installed in the buses to where parents will have real-time communication, knowing where the bus is, knowing if their child's on the bus, knowing if their child got off the bus? I know all of this is coming, but when can we anticipate that everything will be in, and how will that improve communication with parents?
Due to the supply chain that we have right now, our project date is going to be October. We wanted it a lot sooner than that. We've researched our product, and I want to say this. Everyone does a ABL package. Every company makes one, but we have to have the right one.
What is ABL for those that don't know?
It's
You say a lot of acronyms, Kevin, and I don't even know what they are.
well, it's tracking. Basically, it's the tracking of the bus. And so the parent can track the bus. Now, you have to have student information to do that. So by October, by that time, we should have our equipment in place. We'll have accurate numbers. Now, what is going to be so great about this is that if little Johnny gets on our bus at the building, he goes and he scans in, it will tell that driver, hey, you don't ride this bus, you ride bus so-and-so. So there are really cool features, but like anything that is computerized, we'll have glitches and hiccups at first. But to go live with this somewhere around November, December, I would say, to get some accurate readings from it. There's a lot of players in this. We'll have 130 iPads. We'll have, you gotta have 130 brackets. You gotta have 130 cords to plug them in, all those kind of things. Plus, I'm gonna use external scanners because we're gonna use barcodes. The barcodes we felt like would be faster, so the students will use barcode because we already have their information if they're on the food line. Now, our badges have RFID, but we're gonna run barcode.
Well, there's good communication opportunities there for sure.
Yes, and the parents being able to track the bus will be huge. If it's raining, they'll go, hey, I don't have to stop until this time because the bus is at this time. Even if that driver is on a sub bus, they punch their bus number in and the parent will track that bus. So it's really cool, along with our cameras and all of that that's on the bus. We have stop arm cameras, we have dash cameras now. We had a lot of issues for insurance purposes and different things. It really helps us, and the city has been amazing in that aspect of it.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. You explained it to us.
Thank you.
All right, do we have an S? There we go.
Hello, I'm Jenna Csso. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Knapp Elementary. Previously, I was at Lee Elementary. May it rest in peace. I'm here tonight representing Springdale Education Association Board. We just want to fill you guys in on some of the things we've been up to so far to get this year rolling, and thank you guys for having us. So last week, we were really fortunate to be able to feed all of our new teachers on August 4th. I think that was the date. Hopefully I got that right. We were able to reach out to a lot of our new teachers with some goodies and breakfast and get to know some of them in our district. Last night, we showered all of our new teachers with gifts, with a supply shower at our office, and we're able to connect with them. Next week, we're hosting a back to school get together for all of our staff or for all of our members, and you are all invited. That's going to be 4:30 at Black Apple. We are just really, really excited about all of the new updates that we're doing for this school year. We're really enthused and motivated to help you guys and to help all of our administrators make this the best year ever. We're certainly just very, very excited, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come up. And since we have so much on our plate, we wanted to present you guys with some coffee to help us all power through this year. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. But we just want to basically thank you guys for everything you're doing and hope we can do whatever we can to make this a great year. Anything for us? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love coffee.
We can't go wrong, right?
I can't go wrong.
No problem.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you all.
thanks for being here this evening. That brings us to our patron comments portion of our meeting. Looks like we have 3 folks that have signed up. The first one is Tricia Zimmerman.
Good evening.
Hi.
Okay, first, this is mainly for our bus situation. We are rural area kids out here. I want to start off by a quote that I heard this evening from Dr. Cleveland. How much is one child's life worth? Priceless. Our main concern tonight has been safety in the schools. What we have not addressed is the safety for these rural area kids when they're getting on and off this bus. Personally, my children, we are 4 miles currently from our bus stop. Our bus stop is 4 miles. We are on a back road, a back windy road. No sidewalks, it's unsafe. There's feral animals along this way. What if it rains? What if it snows? What if one of them gets hit by a car not paying attention? What if one of them gets attacked by a dog? Who's responsible for that child? Is it me because I chose to let him ride that bus? Or is it the school system? A walk zone for the schools is 1 mile. My children are 4. It's not just my children. It's 9 children. 9 children 4 to 5 miles from their current bus stop. We are currently 11 miles from the school. We're working parents. We can't all come and be at that bus stop. Not only that, but this bus stop is 4 miles, but it's on a high traffic area, Blue Springs Road. Right where they're putting this bus stop is a Fayetteville School District as well. I don't know what we need to do, but by cutting where our original bus stop is cutting it exactly 18 minutes off of our route. 18 minutes is worth a child's life, is what we're saying to our children.
Where was your previous stop in relation to where it is today?
A 1/4 mile from our house. 1/4 mile. We did propose, maybe 1 mile from our house at an entrance to where 9 of those children that ride that bus could be dropped off at. 9 could be dropped off 1 mile from their homes, and it'd be safer, significantly safer. But it's not an option because we've got to shave 18 minutes with no sidewalks. I have more, but my time is up. But there are other people here on this same matter, so.
Thank you. Next, we have Brandon Cochran. Did I say that right? Okay, great.
I live close to her. I have 2 young children that go to Sonora Elementary. I want people to realize that the kids that ride this bus are kindergarten through 7th grade. We're not talking about middle school kids, high school kids, kids with cell phones. No. Kindergartners through 7th grade. The bus stop is 5 miles from my house. My kids used to be picked up at the mailbox. At the mailbox in my front yard. For years, kids have been picked up in their front yard, and I have a feeling they were picked up in their front yard for safety reasons. One thing Kevin didn't mention that keeps him up at night is safety. He said getting kids to school on time keeps him up at night. What keeps me up at night? 2 children, 2 young children that don't need to be waiting at a bus stop 5 miles from home when they used to have the comfort of their home to go back into. When the bus didn't run, which it didn't 1/3 of the time last year at my house, the kids could turn around and go back into the shelter of their own home. The bus doesn't run this year, where do the kids go? There's no sidewalks, there's no crosswalks, there's no shelter. Where do the kids go when the bus doesn't run? We all hope the problems are solved, right? Bus is gonna run every day, it's gonna be on time every day. But the reality is, the bus is not gonna run every day, and we all know that. Let's go back to reality. We're short on drivers. The bus is not gonna run every day. We need to be thinking about the safety of those kids. What happens when that bus doesn't run and they're 5 miles from home? What happens when it rains and there's no shelter and they're 5 miles from home when they used to be able to turn right around from the mailbox and go back into the house and still go to school virtually? Now they're stranded 5 miles from home. We cannot let the lack of hiring drivers override the safety of our children, period. Have a great day.
And the last one we have signed up is it Chester? Chester Griffith?
Yeah, see, on time from 5 to 2, must be a shortage of time now. This is about my third time here. Some of you probably recognize me. I just want to thank that this year, I hope the school system don't put my daughter's safety in jeopardy at the school, unlike the school bus stop. This was at school. Last year, like I came up, they let my child run out this back door twice. Now, we changed schools, and I have met with the school several times. So I think we got that problem solved. I hope we do. But I was going to do a couple other things, but one thing that bothers me is summer school this year. I have 3 kids that I have custody of. 2 of them was selected for summer school. Now, what's amazing about that is they had 3s and 4s on their report card. Now, 3s and 4s is the highest you get. The one granddaughter that I have that I don't have custody, she had 1s and 2s. She didn't get selected for summer school. So I called and asked. And the answer was, when I called the teacher, the answer was, teachers don't select who goes to summer school. The administration does. So my question to you, since you are running the school, is why does a child that has 4s on a report card get selected for summer school, and the child that has 1, 2 don't? Not only does not get selected, they wouldn't let her send us to summer school, and she's the one that needed it. And my last thing I'll bring up is, we'll talk about this Wednesday thing. You guys have put 1,750 teachers ahead of 23,000 families. Think about that. You put 1,700 teachers ahead of 23,000 families. These families have to come up with daycare, transportation. Now, what's amazing to that is that 3,000 surveys you all sent out, I didn't get one. I don't know anybody that does except for 2 people, and both those work for the school. So I did a little research. Now, this may not be perfect, but out of the 3,700 surveys sent out, you got back 1,535 replies from certified employees for the school department. That's over half. You all sent to the school department teachers and certified employees. That had nothing to do with parents. That leaves 1,472 for parents. Out of those, I counted about 27 or 28 that students filled out. So I don't know what the deal is. The lady earlier said she is married to it. Well, my question is, you may be married to it, but you left the kids behind. Because you put 23,000 families behind 1,700 teachers. And believe me, I don't have a problem with teachers. They do a great job. They do. Y'all don't pay them enough, and I do know we're the highest paid school district in the state. I still don't think they get paid enough. But y'all put the teachers, actually, you put the teachers' union ahead of the families.
I'm going to say one thing. Those 23,000 students will benefit greatly from what those teachers are going to be able to accomplish.
And that may be
on Wednesday afternoon.
But let's put it in perspective. We got 59.79% of the students in this school district that is economically depressed. Out of those families, how many of those families do you think can afford daycare in the afternoon? How many of those families can afford extra transportation? How many of those families can afford to take off work? Which I can tell you, there's 2 people I know have to take off work every Wednesday now. Their company is not going to provide them extra income for that. And this school district is 59 or let's say 60% economically depressed students. Now, let's put it in perspective. I go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, I get off at 12. I've been retired twice. I don't care. But it bothers me that the school board would put the teachers' union before the students.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. there anything else, board, that we need to talk about? If not, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting.